Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fourth webinar in our series of product jams and what we're calling this one a traffic jam. So if you've contributed or joined us in the last webinars, you know that we've already talked about how to build a membership site in 15 minutes or less. We've gone over how to segment your CRM list for greater profits, and we've also covered 15 conversion secrets that you can install in 15 minutes or less into your business. But today we're going to flip it around, and we're going to speak less about the product, and we're going to speak more about just how to build traffic to get more people to your website so you can put these conversion secrets and segmenting techniques into play. So today, as always, I have with me Marty Dickinson, who is the co-author of Web Marketing All-in-One for Dummies. He's a full-time web marketer, coach, and business development specialist since 1996. Marty can always be reached at herenextyear.com if you'd like to speak with him directly to get your business in a better place than it is today. So as always, we're going to start off right away. We're going to jump right into the meat of the topic, and we will spend the first part of the webinar doing the presentation, and the second part of the webinar will be live Q&A. So fire up your questions, take notes while Marty's speaking, and we'll have a lively discussion afterwards. So welcome, Marty, and let me turn the microphone over to you.
All right, thanks, Gary. This is my favorite topic of all time. I love talking about traffic. I love exploring traffic and just trying things to see what works and what doesn't. And what works well for me might not work well for the next person or for the next project that comes along. So you really just have to do a lot of testing and seeing out of all the possible hundreds of potential traffic builders to a website, what are the ones that really work for you and mesh with your lifestyle so that you're not spending all day trying to build traffic to your website. But what I'm going to attempt to do here is I actually have outlined 101 ways of getting traffic to a website. It's a document that I've given away in my herenextyear.com website for years, and I just keep updating it every quarter or every month as time goes on, and it's turned into a massive beast of like 30 pages in length, and they're all sorted by how inexpensive the traffic method is, how fast it can be implemented, how easy it can be implemented, and an expected ROI. So I use that all the time for like a 2-year web marketing traffic building plan. So what I did was I went into that and I took a few of those out, but I have a few new traffic generators to add to that list, like I do every month or every 2 or 3 months to that document. So I'm going to introduce you to some new traffic builders that you might not have heard of yet. So I'm going to attempt to do this in 30 minutes. Now, whenever I do workshops where it's more hands-on and we're actually going through these traffic builders, I might cover 6 or 7 or 8 of these in an hour versus trying to hit 15 of them in 30 minutes or even less so we have time for questions here. So pardon me for really cranking through these, but we will have this recorded so you can go back and dissect each one of these as I go through them. So start out with the basics. We're going to move to more advanced. I know I'm doing a lot of these webinars and workshops, but we have a wide variety of people on each one of these calls, people that have been doing this longer than I have, more than 20 years, and people who are just starting out, trying to get their feet wet and saying, okay, how do I build traffic to a website? I need to get my website on top of Google, right? Well, okay, that's one way to get traffic to a website, and that's one of the more complex ways of getting traffic to a website, but I'm going to touch on that. So let's start at the beginning. The very first thing that you need to work on is a business card. And how can a business card be a traffic generator? Well, what you do is you copy this text that I have and customize it for your own business card, and go throw away all your business cards and then get a business card with this printed on the back pointing to your website instead of mine, and to showcasing your topic instead of mine, of course. And then hand your business card, when you go to networking events, hand your business card out to people with the back showing so that they see that whatever it is that you have on there. This is where CloudNet 360 comes into play, premium web card. This is where you draw people to your website to get them to opt in so that your visitors come to know you and you can market to them, you can provide them with more information, valuable content, but it all starts with this. That's the easiest thing to do. It's one of the fastest things to do. It costs peanuts to get really nice business cards these days. And when I go to a networking event and I hand out 10 of these, at least 4 or 5 or 6 people go to my website and to that location, and they opt in to get access to this 101 traffic method. So you have to find something that appeals to a wide audience to rope them in and bring them to your website. It starts with that. The next thing I would suggest that you do and again, we're starting with the easy ones and working our way. So hold on, advanced people, we're getting there. But I would suggest that you support an event. We have, I mean, a lot of us are parents. We drive our kids to soccer or baseball or whatever. In my case, well, my daughter is in Taekwondo, and we attended a Taekwondo tournament this weekend where she sang the national anthem, which was beautiful. And in the packet that you get when you attend this tournament, you get the agenda for the day and everything. Well, the last tournament I went to last year, I didn't think they had a very good turnout considering the school that she's with and how many kids are there. So I wrote an email, and I really was trying to provide inspiration to the parents to get their kids in the tournament. And lo and behold, they used that testimonial in the actual agenda handout that was given to 650 people that attended this tournament. And here is my Here Next Year website plastered on the document, which I see they have a small Y there instead of a large one, but that's okay. I mean, typos happen when you put it in the hands of other people to promote for you. But it didn't cost me a thing. I just wrote the testimonial. They were surprised, and because nobody's ever done that before, and it's a really good traffic builder. It gets your name out in front of people. So this builds the foundation for the next step, and this is comment. Now, Google produces a really nice tool called Google Alert. You can find it by logging into your Google account and just go to .com/alert, and that'll take you to a page where you can set up alerts to be alerted by email for various phrases. And again, people have been around for a while. This is nothing new. They did actually change the interface to this a little bit, so it might look a little bit different than it has in the past. But this is really one of your keys to web marketing all around and knowing what's happening on the web. If you are an industry expert, you should be up to date for what kind of content is being distributed out there on the web and what kind of content is being put onto news sites and blogs, and this is where you do it. You just go into alerts. It's a free service. You put in, I have up here as an example, my name, Marty Dickinson. You should always know if somebody's talking about you or your company name, and then you can put in keyword phrases related to your business or something that you have an interest in, and then set it so that once a day or whenever, I used to come in every day, and I usually check news, blogs, and the web for whatever phrase that I'm going after. And then I get an email. One of the areas that I work with is with elderly care. So I work with a client that has a website that provides elderly services in San Diego. And so I'm set up with all these keyword phrases. Whenever somebody writes a topic about something related to the elderly age group, then I get this alert in my email, and I can click on this blue link up here, which would take me to the website, and then I can go to the website. This is Simply Settled. This is the website that I've been working with and just kind of building traffic for them. And I went to this blog post that we added called Mail Scams That Target the Elderly, and then I see the URL up there, Simply Settled, sd.com/mail scams target elderly. Well, I copy that, and then I go to the news outlet, the blog post that I was just alerted in my email, and then I'll read the article and then copy and paste this link and say, hey, that was a really good article. I really liked where you talked about mail scams. That's what triggered that email that I got, that announcement. And so I'll make a little comment and then paste that URL in there as another resource. So I just read about this on another website. Here's the link. Boom. So, and it's really easy to get added to these news sites, and most of them are connected with Facebook. So if you're logged into Facebook, you won't even have to sign up for anything. You'll just be able to add your comment and go. And then, you're not going to get tons and tons of traffic from one of these, but I go into my email every day, and I'll look at about 5 or 6 of these. I'll just scan through very quickly, go visit the website, copy and paste from whatever site I'm trying to promote at the time, and those add up. It's a domino effect. So you do that for a couple of months, and you've got a whole bunch of articles out there with links back to your website. I'm not talking about SEO value for you SEO guys out there. You don't get a whole ton of SEO value from having a bunch of links on comments to blog posts. I guess it helps maybe a little depending on the actual website, but I'm just talking about getting your name out there and getting links to your website, and people see those articles, and then they click through to get to your website. So it's a really good and free way to do it. So that's really what I recommend to people that are really just starting out in business. They don't have a website yet, or maybe they are thinking about it, they've got their product in mind, but you can do all three of those and just kind of get used to how the web works and how traffic building works, and just promote a website that you're interested in. And then eventually, once you get a little bit more skilled and comfortable, that's a better word than skilled, comfortable with writing and commenting on the web, then start adding your blog posts. And this is where the website comes into play. Blog posts are nothing new, but they are huge, huge, huge important when it comes to traffic building. Now, back to this example, there are various parts of a blog post that are really important to include. I just kind of want to rip through these here for you. First of all is the headline itself. You've got to have something. If you expect to get found on search engines with a blog post, you've got to target your actual headline so that they can be found on a blog post. Number two is a photo. You need to have a photo, an image of some kind with every single blog post you make. I see so many blog posts out there that don't have anything visual, and you really need to have that because you're going to be promoting this in a couple of next steps here on social networks. So here is the next portion of that blog post where there's an introduction. It's just text, a couple of paragraphs, and then some kind of list. So there's a little subheadline here, and then here are the 7 signs to look for. And I can use any one of these individual points in any of my social media. So I could go to Twitter and say, hey, do you know that one of the 7 signs are unpaid bills? And here, go to this website for 6 more. So you can kind of like the insurance commercial. You might have saw that a couple years ago, and they have reason number 256 to switch to. It's the same kind of thing. You can use the same blog post for months and just keep breaking up pieces and then featuring that blog post in social media. So then at the end, there's a closer paragraph with a link that doesn't show up too well in the screenshot, but that's an action item for somebody to go to the next step. And that's a familiar blog post. But a lot of people, they just don't know what to do with a blog post. How do I format them? But if you stick with that kind of format, you're going to have content of value. It gets a lot easier over time. You should be able to kick out a blog post really in about 20 minutes once you do them more frequently. And that's what I'd like to have you get used to, is doing blog posts more frequently, at least once a week, preferably twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week. Then we get to SEO. So with that website, we really only care about people in the San Diego area finding that website. So when people search related to San Diego, it comes up. Probably on the other end of the country, there are a lot of websites that feature mail scams, so you're probably not going to get that kind of result. But that's our goal, right? We want to be able to have targeted visitors to our website, not just tons and tons of traffic. We want targeted visitors. So that's one of the things to consider. Main point, this was no way designed to be an SEO educational how-to session. I just want to, I've led 3-hour SEO sessions to really get in depth with it. But the point is that something major has changed with Google and search engine optimization that you need to know about. Whether you're just starting this or you've been in this business for years, Google is on a pathway to greatly reduce the value that links have. I mean, links on other websites pointing to yours. So there's always been the goal of going out and getting a whole bunch of links to your website. If you're a designer or you get hooked up with some kind of SEO company that says, oh yeah, we're going to get you 2,500 links tomorrow, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. You can run into problems, but even more than that is that Google is devaluing the value of links over the next year. They built the infrastructure. About 6 months ago, they launched the new version of the algorithm, and that's what produced all this architecture to make that happen. So what they're really looking for now is for your content to be shared. Google is going to position your website and the pages of your website based on your ability to share content, to provide content that people want to share. So that really needs to be the focus. And that's where we get into the next subject of a traffic builder, and that is the dreaded Google+. I mean, I just haven't met anybody yet that really likes using Google+ for engaging with people. And that's fine. But what Google+ is important for is to get your content listed on Google, number one. I mean, usually when I make a blog post, I can go over to Google Plus and copy that URL and make a little comment, and it's just like Facebook. You're making a post, so you add some comment, add a comment, and then copy and paste your URL. Picture comes up, and then you post it. And as fast as I can get a browser open to go search for that topic, I've got my post on Google. I mean, it's that fast. And that's the importance of Google Plus. It's a Google product, number one. So if it's a Google product, we really need to use it if we want to have some benefit from Google search. But even more important than that is that it has such a direct connection to the organic search results. So again, here's a screenshot inside my Google Plus profile where Simply Subtle guys, they have a VA that actually goes into their Google Plus account and then posts the content, and then I see it immediately in my account, so I share it on purpose, right? Because we're trying to show Google that this is information that people want to share, and then I add a comment to it, and then now I'm essentially reposting this content. So it's a little procedure to follow to make your blog post, go to Google Plus immediately, put that post on Google Plus, announce to people, and then get a couple of people to go share it with their list. And do the same thing on Twitter. So you go over to Twitter and make a few Twitter tweets. See what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to inspire you that building traffic to a website is really a process. So you can follow a step-by-step sequence for all this. And once you have that step-by-step sequence, your time is greatly reduced. You could do this whole thing, everything I've just talked about so far, in about 25 minutes by doing it over and over again, getting used to the process, logging into Google Plus, making your comment, and now we're going over to Twitter and doing the same thing. If you're just getting started in Twitter, I wanted to give you a little source of inspiration. This is a new author, Susan Lee, and after months and months and months of prodding this person to get into Twitter, she finally started her Twitter account, and to the experienced Twitter person out there, this isn't a big deal. 549 followers, who cares, right? Small potatoes. But she only started this Twitter account about 3 weeks ago. So she's gotten a lot of followers, almost a 90% follow back percentage. And there's a process to Twitter. Maybe that's a whole separate webinar that we do, is just focusing on a few of these social media. But the point is that people start with Twitter and they just kind of get out of it and they stop. They don't get very inspired. I'd like to reinvigorate that. I'd like you to try Twitter again for just even a couple of months. And make your blog post, go to Google Plus, and then go right over to Twitter and then show people, put your post up there, break it up into pieces, and over a period of a week or 2 weeks, just make some tweets about your blog post and see what happens. Just try it again. I just wanted to plant that seed for getting back into using Twitter again. And one of the big keys to using Twitter and how Susan Lee is building her following is by using hashtags. So you find little keywords out there, and then make your tweet, and then you put in the little pound sign, and then that acts as a keyword, a category phrase where you can search Twitter on these hashtags and see all the posts that people have made. So very rarely do I run into somebody who just sits there and watches all these Twitter messages come up on their front screen. No, they go search for the category that they have interest in, something that they hear on the news that's trending, and then they'll go search for that and they'll see all the tweets. So just make a whole list of these hashtags, what might be appropriate to your industry, and start following people and start producing content to get your message out on Twitter. It's still, to this day, after all the years that Twitter's been around, it's still a very powerful tool, and just don't forget it. I like this one. LinkedIn post, number 8. This is something that appeared in my profile about 6 months ago. I don't know if it was a new feature they added or if it was just something that maybe I got enough connections and they thought I was popular enough one day and all of a sudden appeared, whatever it was. But I all of a sudden have the ability to make posts inside of LinkedIn. And these are just blog posts. So here I was, why you must change how you manage your small business. That is a blog post that I wrote about CloudNet 360. So you can write about anything that you want in here. And I made a little graphic. These are all a photo of somebody that was speaking. I took a photo at an event. So again, same concept. You've got an introduction, you've got points that you make, and then a summary at the end, an action item, and always use an image and a photo. But every time I make one of these, I get a lot of traffic to my actual LinkedIn profile, and that's where people find out about me, and then what are they going to see when they find out more about me? They're going to go to my website. So it's a really good traffic builder that they've added, or all of a sudden I've been approved to use. I don't know what it is, but I don't care. It just works. So here's something that once you get more involved with blogging, you'll get introduced to WordPress, and WordPress is a great blogging tool. There is a plugin that you install to your WordPress website called Postloop, and it's a company that the whole idea is that I have one blog post on my Here Next Year website that has been up on the top of Google for, I don't know, a couple of years now, and the search term is why WordPress. So that's a pretty good phrase to be ranked on, right? I mean, it gets like 2,400 visits a month or so, just that one page. And I have, who knows, 80 or more comments that people have left. That's one of the reasons Google loves that page, because it's a very popular page. Well, it's always a challenge to get people to add comments to your blog post, unless you're really popular, you have a lot of traffic already, and then it's just a lot of numbers. But to get started in getting comments, this is a great tool to use. So you install Postloop, you join their little club, and then it's kind of an I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of system, and you become a publisher, so that way you don't have to pay for the, otherwise you go in and people will make comments on your blog post. They're doing it for money. They're getting a little bit of money every time they make a blog post. So it's a little revenue generator for people at the same time. But if you become a publisher and do the same thing for others, then you've got this reciprocal traffic building strategy happening through commenting on other people's blogs and then commenting on yours. So something to look into if you have a WordPress blog. Number 10, email. Oh, how am I doing here? 10:29. All right. Well, we're pretty well on schedule since we started at 10:05. What I'd like to do with this is suggest to you that email is definitely not dead. Email is still today the most important, I think anyway, the most important communication device that you have with your potential customers and your existing customers. So my hope is that you will start thinking of emailing to your opt-in list, to your existing customers, as a website traffic builder, because it is. It's really all I need to say about that, because we did this whole webinar on CRM segmenting, which is all about email, because you segment your lists and then you're able to send content of value out to your list and build more leads, build more sales, get that content shared because you want to announce to people and maybe blog posts, all kinds of things like that. So it's all there. You have the system with CloudNet 360 right now, and you can just really make use of this tool. I just want to inspire you that email still definitely works. A little bit more on that in a minute. Here's a new one that I'll bet you haven't heard of yet. It's called Tidbits. TIDBITTS.com, and I did not spell that incorrectly. That is the way that it's been spelled. This is a new generation of content delivery. It's a great way for someone that does not have a membership website to start out with a real low-key membership website where you're doing the same thing. You're just adding blog posts. Virtually, they don't call it that. They call them tidbits. But you add content of value either in a written form or audio, and then people subscribe to your content if they think that it's good enough. So it's really up to you to create content that is of high enough value so that people want to subscribe. And they'll subscribe. They have a couple, this just launched a week ago Monday. So it's really a soft launch. They've got about 140 publishers in here. That's what they call them, as publishers. People that are producing this content. There's my profile up there, speaking your way to the bank. So I really work a lot with speakers and coaches and trainers, things like that. So the idea is that they come in and they see your content, they subscribe for 99 cents, or there's another price setting in there for, I think it's 56 cents. You can choose. You'll be able to customize that pretty soon. This is just round one. But just imagine, this is like Kindle. It's that big. It's like Kindle, but instead of having to write a book, you're just adding content and then scheduling it for delivery. The key is that it has to be the good stuff. You can't just lead people into something and then not tell them what the solution is. That's what they're after. And let me know if you have questions about this. It's really a great system. In every one of these profiles, you have what's called an example tidbit, because you have to give people a sample of what they can expect as they get into the system. And what did I do? I wrote a blog post, or a tidbit post here, that is essentially behind the magic curtain is an automated system. And I'm targeting speakers and coaches and authors too, and trainers. And they're always asking me, how do you manage all this stuff? How do you manage 100+ websites at the same time? And the key is by having a system like CloudNet 360. So I'm revealing that is my secret sauce, being able to manage all these things. So hopefully that is a teaser enough that people would see that as content of value. So just kind of giving that as an example. Next, number 12 is meetup.com. Now this website is nothing new, but I still find that there are a lot of people that don't know about it. You can start your own meetup group. There are meetup groups all over the world, and this is one that I started a few years ago, where we go skiing every Wednesday in Colorado, and ski season is coming around. And I actually didn't have this live last year, but I'm going to kick it up again because it was so much fun, and made some awesome connections. But I'm going to start another meetup group here in Denver for CloudNet 360, and we're going to meet once a month, either in person or even virtually, so that anybody in the country could be part of it. And this is a great way to get your word out about your business too, because you as the organizer are already assumed that you are the expert authority on the topic. So when you get people together and you're talking about subjects related to your topic and your industry, that's a great business builder, great networking, great credibility builder. Put this on your website that you have a meetup group, and that's a huge credibility booster. And then expands. There's all kinds of things you can do with Meetup. Meetup has its own internal tools so that people that belong to other groups will be introduced to your group when you do your setup of your page. Really a terrific traffic builder in a lot of different ways. So now we come to the controversial one, number 13. And I'm going to call this proactive networking. I'm sure Gary recognizes the name ymlp.com. Now this is an email system that you subscribe to. It's really, really cheap. And here's the thing. I don't want you to use this instead of CloudNet 360. That's not the point. This is the one system that I've found where you can load emails. I don't think there's really a limit. You can pay a little bit more, but you can load emails and blast emails out to people without having them to opt in. So I can go to somebody's website, find their email, build my own little list, and then invite them to go check out a blog post that I did. I mean, I'm not trying to sell Viagra here. I'm trying to network with people and get introduced to them, and you can do that on a large scale when you have an email system where you can send out in small doses of broadcasts. And don't think this is big-time spam. I mean, I have one client that just last year, he had a conference where he was selling attendance to the conference for $1,000 a piece. And the guy had 108 people sign up for it, all through sending out in small groups these emails to people in his niche market. So do not discount email. There's been so much bad press about sending out emails. This is networking, folks. You know, if you do it right, there are definitely wrong ways to do it. I just wanted to announce this. And so what do I want to do? I want people to come to the website, and they're going to opt in or buy something. Ultimately, they're going to opt in through my form, which goes right into the CloudNet 360 system. So use this email system for the large numbers of emails, and then funnel them through the system, get them into the CloudNet 360 system. And there's a picture of it right there. So a really, really good way to do it. I've built 6 websites by purely sending emails alone, and they're all membership websites. They average about $4,500 per year in revenue. So not huge money, but heck, it's money that I don't have to do a heck of a lot of work for anyway. Number 14, associations. Join an association, at least one, in your industry, and go to the meetings and become a sponsor. This is probably the most exciting traffic builder that I have going, and I've been doing this for years. I work with speakers, I work with coaches. This is where I live, in SA, Colorado. I never miss a meeting, and they all know me. I get up on stage, I promote what I do, and it's a great traffic generator. We're getting into guest blog posting. We actually did this website a couple of years ago, my team and I, and we have to get into associations as sponsors and get people to know you. And that is just a huge traffic builder. Finally, number 15. Here's one that you might not have heard about, advertise.com, and that also is spelled correctly. And this is where you would find industry types, and then, yep, you're sending out email in large scale, and you're actually subscribing to this type of system so that you're probably spending $20, $30, maybe $40 a month as you build it up and experiment to see what works. And some people might make a sub-website and drive traffic just to the sub-website and then get people to opt in, and then they're moved over to the other main site. That's fine. But I'm just kind of painting the picture out here that these tools exist. So it might not be a perfect fit for somebody, but it might be just what they're looking for somebody else. You really just have to kind of experiment with all of these tools and see which ones are right for you. So that's it. Those are my 15 traffic builders that I've selected today. And it's 10:38 Denver time, so I might have gone over a little bit. But now, Gary, it's all yours. What do you think?
Well, I think it was very informative. One of the things I liked about the presentation, Marty, was that we weren't looking for the one silver bullet to solve the traffic problem, but it's more the all-encompassing approach, and also an approach that isn't going to break the bank. A lot of those things are either free or very inexpensive to get started with, and they're also things that you'll continue doing for the long term. So it's cheap. There's a lot of different options, and it's something that, again, is a long-term traffic strategy versus just throwing money at the Google AdWords complex and hoping for the best, and frankly, hoping you can beat the big guys that have already been established in the market that are going to really force you to dig deep into your wallet in order to compete against them. So these are really great strategies that anyone can use and everyone should use. And what we should do now is take a look at some of these questions and open it up to the audience and see what Q&A session brings for the rest of this webinar. So here's a question on the 2 email services that you had provided. And you had talked about the email services doing one function, which is more of a, let's say, shotgun approach, and then the strategy of bringing them back into your own segmented list. Can you elaborate a little bit more about how you bring the shotgun traffic into a very specific segmented list?
Well, that's 2 different questions, actually, because the first one, you have to craft an email that is very friendly, that makes it look like you're sending an email to just one person. I mean, what we do, for example, is we have a website full of marriage counselors. And so we originally went to other marriage counselor websites, and we had a criteria that we were looking for, specific criteria, and then we crafted an email that said, we're launching a new website. We'd like you to be part of it, and we do have a discount for people that are wanting to join for our charter. And so we crafted this email and sent it out and just suggested that people take a look. And it's really interesting when you take that kind of approach. You think initially, oh my gosh, I'm going to get reported to the FBI or something for sending spam and all that. If you're passionate enough about your message, I hate using such a cliche word to say passion, but I mean, if you really are driven, how's that? If you're driven enough to get your message out to people, those fears are going to be superseded by the value of your content. So we knew we were doing something important, we were doing something that was helpful, and we just kind of took the plunge and made a real personal email. I had my name on it, I had a phone number people could call, so there was nothing seedy about it. And gosh, I mean, when we started doing that, what was it, 3 years ago now, and 6 websites later, we've had 2 really nasty reply emails. But that's out of like, gosh, we must have sent 30,000, maybe more emails just using that method. Going to websites, finding people's email addresses. If they didn't have an email address, we'd fill out the contact form. I mean, it's kind of labor intensive, but we've got these clients for life now. I mean, they're just renewing. They're in a membership program, and as long as we keep providing good quality results for them and content, they're going to stay there. So that's step 1, is to really be sold yourself on your own program and the quality you're going to be providing. And then it's really all up to the CloudNet 360 system from there, because you're building your opt-in, giving them something of that, always giving something of value for free so that they can get used to you. And then there's that autoresponder sequence, right? And then through the autoresponder sequence, that's where I start segmenting anyway. I mean, I know Gary presented in the webinar we had on segmenting, which is on the blog. You can go watch it again and see how he sets up his forms to segment immediately. That's a great way to do it. I just haven't done it that way yet. It's a great idea to try. My method is just get people in to the system first and then segment over time. So every other email or every third email or something, there will be a way for them to request specific, I'll have specific information or I'm qualifying them from there. So that's the method. They work together really well.
Okay, we've got another question about LinkedIn, and you had mentioned putting posts up onto your profile, but what about the ads? Have you ever looked at the traffic generation from the LinkedIn ads versus a Google ad?
No. The only thing I use LinkedIn for, other than those new posts, is participating in groups. Groups are great in LinkedIn, and they're very responsive. So when you add content to a group, people really look at that information. Well, I guess it depends on what you write, too. You get to be a pretty good writer in this business after a while. You really get to know what people respond to and how they react. But sorry, that's a long answer to saying no, isn't it? I just never worked with LinkedIn ads. There's always more.
Okay, and here's a question I'm a little confused by it, so I'll just read it out, see what happens. If a blog originates in Denver, Colorado, does that mean it only works to drive traffic from Denver searching for the type of content in that blog? What I'm getting at is, suppose I am planning on running a seminar in 10 different locations throughout the Northeast. Do blogs on the seminar topic need to come from each of these locations in order for the seminar to pop up when someone searches for something like it near them?
Not at all. Not at all. Nope. It just depends on all the other stuff that you do, so that portion of the country has those blog posts pop up. Now, if I was in a different country, that answer would be different, because you've got all these web servers with different qualifiers. They're called IP addresses, but I'm trying not to use technical terms so that everybody can benefit from the answer. And in that case, that's one of the ways that can help, is by hosting your website in a location that is at least in your same country, let alone in your quadrants of the United States. But now you can have, there will be people from all over the country seeing your post as a general rule, unless you really focus it to being just in that location.
Okay, now this is kind of an add-on, but there have been people that have taken Meetup type of meetings and used that platform to then push people to their seminar or event page. And what are some of the strategies of advertising your own event, but also placing it on feeder sites like Meetup so that you can push more people through more venues?
Feeder sites have been around for years, and just kind of for some of the newer people, you could have dozens of individual little sub-websites that are all pointing to your main website. So meetup.com would be considered one of those. There's all kinds of things. You could start up a Blogger blog on blogger.com. You could go to wordpress.org and sign up for a free blog there. These are all sub-sites. You could start a website at Wix.com that you've probably been seeing on TV. Those are all sub-sites that you can make to point to your main site. There's no limit to doing that. The way that I like to use Meetup specifically is to build the list within Meetup and then offer things on the main website that aren't on Meetup. Meetup.com is designed for in-person meetings. That's what it was created for. You're supposed to go downtown to whatever city you're in, and once a month you get together. There's usually 15 people there, or maybe 25 or 30 or 40. That's the usual Meetup group size. And then you talk about specific topics. And most of these Meetup groups are free, or maybe they cost $5 or $10 at most. It's very rare that you find a Meetup group that is a large cost. So with that in mind, you need to approach Meetup knowing that the people that go to Meetup groups are used to going to Meetup groups for free, or for $5, or for $10. So I would suggest that you have an event related to meetup.com to service that market, and then give them a piece. It's almost like, for conferences, I've been involved with promoting 2 national conferences, and the way that we promoted that conference was to have weekly teleseminars. So we'd get the speaker on the phone and then interview them. That would be a showcase for what was to come at the conference. Did the guy give all the goods on the teleseminar? Well, no, there was only 20-minute interviews. How much can you really tell everybody? But you do the same thing with Meetup. You could have little separate Meetup meetings that cover some of the content that's going to be promoted in the seminar, and you could have that in teleconference form, you could have that in webinar form, or in person. You could do all that through meetup.com. And meetup.com actually has a feature that you could charge people for, too, if you wanted to charge a small amount. But I'm just saying that Meetup has a reputation, it has a target audience type, and fit your event within Meetup to be around what Meetup is built for. And then introduce people that there's more. There's this whole thing that I have over here, these workshops and conferences and everything else. That's how you get them to the next.
And then one last question on Meetup. At what point in building a new business do you recommend using Meetup?
Well, I think that goes both ways. I think Meetup could be started before you even have a business. You just have a topic that you're interested in. Let's go see if anybody else has the same interest in this topic. I mean, go to meetup.com if you haven't been there yet. Start a free account. It doesn't cost anything to join as a member. It only costs a little bit. It's like $70 every 6 months or something like that if you want to start a Meetup group and use their tools and have a page and all that. So join there for free, and then poke around within your industry and find some meetups that are in your town or another city too, and just kind of compare notes. But I mean, I could absolutely see somebody just having an idea and starting a Meetup group and getting people to come, and a business starting from that. That's exactly what happened with AuthorU. AuthorU.org is an association here in town for inspired authors who want to write books and learn how to do it. And that started as a Meetup. Judith Briles is their president, and she just started having a Meetup one day, and it eventually grew, and she started having it at a really nice restaurant, and then she started making a business out of it and got a website built under fast protests. She got onto Facebook and LinkedIn and started really using Twitter, and now, I'm meeting with her actually this week, and I'll find out for sure, but I think AuthorU now has about 500 members to it, and expanding rapidly. I mean, that was only a couple of years ago. So there's a great example of a business that started as a Meetup, and it was really just an idea that took off. But to answer that in reverse, having a Meetup group as an established business is really a great way to go exponentially. I'm talking with Gary about getting him out there more, and he's been going to some meetups, so this is really on the top of our minds. But the next step is for Cloud.net 360 to just start their own Meetup group. You're right there in Chicago. Gary, I haven't introduced you to that, but it's coming. And then you'll have monthly events, bringing people in, showing them what's new with the system. I mean, it works in reverse, too. Just imagine all the people that see Cloud.net 360 Premium Web Card Company, see that on the web and think, oh gosh, yeah, that's just a tool. Somebody probably over in India runs the thing. No, I mean, it's here. It's in America. It's in Chicago. And there's real people behind it. I mean, that's what you're able to prove with a live meetup.com group. So I think it goes both ways.
Okay, now we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I want to throw out a 16th way to generate traffic, which I really like, and I'm going to put an offer out there for everyone on this webinar as well. So one of the ways that you'll find top marketers going out and getting a lot of traffic is actually by taking video testimonials and pitching them in a very specific way so that they're speaking nicely and complimenting the business they're giving the testimonial to, but they're also promoting themselves. So let me give you an example of how this happens. So you would take, whether it's your iPhone, your smartphone, or maybe something more elaborate than that, but it doesn't have to be. An iPhone works perfectly fine. And what you do is you take a video of yourself and you say, hi, this is Jim Jones. I'm with XYZ.com, and we're experts at providing people with the very best basement sealant, right? Whatever the case may be. And I want to recommend this business because I've used this tool and it's done this for me and it's been fantastic. I could have never built my basement sealant business without having these tools available for me, right? So basically what they're doing is they're complementing the tool, but they're also putting out who they are, what they do, what their website is, and then they're putting it up on a well-trafficked site so that they're siphoning some of that traffic off, but not in a competitive way, right? It's being done in a very complementary way. So when people are putting out testimonials for Premium WebCart or CloudNet 360, they're talking about our service and product. They're getting traffic back to their website. And of course, it's not traffic that we worry about. It's not traffic that's leaving us to go to a competitor. So we're more than happy to take that testimonial that's advertising our customers' businesses or services and put it up on our website for them. So having said that, if anyone on this webinar would like to advertise their business for free and put together a testimonial in the structure that I just mentioned, go ahead and do it. Send it up to us, and we'll make sure you get a nice prominent location on our website so that you get some of that free traffic.
That's an awesome offer, and I'll be the first to sign up.
Okay.
Really, I mean, that's a great offer. I mean, not every company allows you to do that. And they'll even tack on to the end of that you want to give your website address out, too, at the very end. You know, this is Marty Dickinson with Here Next Year saying bye for now. You just kind of sum it up at the end. And that does a lot. That's great. That's great, Gary. That's a great offer.
Yeah, actually, somebody just thanked Jim. Keep in mind that I just made that name Jim up and the company as well. So I was just trying to make a hypothetical example. But the structure is very simple. And, you know, the other part is that people will worry that, you know, maybe it's not high quality enough. Maybe it's not this. Maybe it's not that. Keep in mind that the most authentic, the most effective testimonials and videos are you just being you. You know, don't try to be fake. Don't try to be scripted. Don't try to be someone you're not. Just let you be you. Take a very simple video of you conversing, just as you would have a conversation with a friend if you were giving them a recommendation about something, and videotape it on, again, something simple like an iPhone, smartphone, a handheld camcorder, whatever the case may be, and just let it go at that. So, all right, so we are coming up on the top of the hour. We have a pretty good habit of starting on time, ending on time. So I think I'd like to stop the webinar at this point in time. I want to thank everyone who showed up. Oh, you know what, there's one more point that came in. They want to know if you're going to provide that presentation, and the answer is yes, right, Marty?
Yeah, well, it's going to be recorded, so it's right there. That's all there is. So all the domain names are there, and you can just watch it. I mean, there's not really anything to show. I can send a PDF if you need it, but it's not the kind of thing that has a whole bunch of bullet points. I gave up on bullet points like 10 years ago, so I just do screenshots now, and you have them all there. See, Gary's been really good about getting videos on the blog area about 3 days later, so that's awesome. What I'd be curious about, kind of throwing the question in reverse, is that we've done, this is our fourth webinar now. I'd like to know if there are specific webinar topics that people would really like us to put up front and feature. You know, we've got a list of 30 different topics to cover, but if there's something that is just a burning desire that you want us to talk about, then let us know, and we'll put it together and do it. And also, this is a different day. We were thinking that Friday was our day. We just do every Friday for a webinar day, but we're starting to mix it up a little bit, so I'd like to hear the feedback if this was better for you for a day and a time, and any suggestions for other days that would be better.
Okay, very good. Well, I said it was one last question, but there's just a couple others that have come in real quickly, and these are short. Where do we review, download the sessions? I've been posting the recordings of these. They've been recorded and posted on the Premium WebCart blog. They will also be posted on the CloudNet 360 blog, but we just haven't gotten that one installed yet. So you can go to Premium WebCart, click on the blog link in the menu, and then on the right side categories, you'll see a category called Product Jams. So we will put all the product jams and traffic jams in the same category, and they will all be there forever, and you can go click on them and watch them at any point in time. Now we are definitely at the top of the hour. So again, thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Marty, for the very informative session. And I hope everyone feels at least a little bit guilty about not doing these things, that they need to maybe step up and say, look, I've done some of these things, but I'm not doing all these things, and I'm going to take at least one or two or hopefully at least three and put these into my repertoire of traffic generation.